What is up, everybody? Coach Juma here, and today we're going to talk about how you're probably doing lateral raises wrong. This is a staple in most people's arm workouts, shoulder workouts, whatever the case may be. 90% of the time, you're not targeting them as well as you should be, and you could be putting a lot more stress on your shoulder joint than you might be realizing as well. What most people are doing or thinking about when doing a lateral raise is just picking it up as high as you can, or raising it up as high as you can and bringing it back down. Basically raising it by any means necessary, focusing on going up more than anything else. Although it looks like that's the intention of the movement, it's always the simplest movements that are actually the hardest to master. Now, what most people do wrong when doing a lateral raise is they might be using too heavy of a weight. So to raise it up, they could be bouncing up and down to raise it, which isn't putting any kind of tension on your shoulder muscle. And again, aggravating your shoulder joint more than it needs to. They could also be shrugging at the top in order to raise it higher, which again is putting more stress now and tension on your traps as opposed to your shoulder muscle. They might just be standing too upright and going out too far with their elbows locked. This is actually the most common one by far. When you look at someone do it, you might just think, I just got to raise my arms out to the side, like I'm flapping my wings, trying to get the weight up as high as I can. But that's not how you optimally create tension in the shoulder muscle, which is what you want to do with any kind of exercise that you perform in the gym. What you want to really focus on is the angle at which you're raising and the control you have with the weight. In this proper demonstration of a lateral raise, you're going to see that I lean forward slightly at the hips and I keep a light bend in my elbows. So my elbows aren't locked, which takes pressure off of my elbow, it takes pressure off of my shoulder joint, and puts the tension on the musculature. And because I'm leaning forward, it takes off a lot of pressure on my shoulder joint as well, and really puts the load on the muscle itself as opposed to the joint, which is what we always want to avoid when doing any kind of exercise. When I raise, I'm not just thinking about going as high as I can and raising my hands as high as I can. I'm focusing on pulling outward. So instead of going straight up, which is going to be really hard to break the habit of, you want to raise your hands out toward the walls in front of you, as opposed to up toward the ceiling. This is going to create a shift in the muscles being used from traps and again the shoulder accessory muscles, rotator cuffs, things like that, to the actual lateral head of the deltoid, which is the main meaty part of your shoulder on the outside of your arm right here. As you raise outward and upward, you want to stop about shoulder level. You don't want your elbows to go above your shoulder because that's going to start targeting your traps. You want to stop at shoulder level and start controlling the descent down the entire time. You can create more tension in your shoulder muscle by increasing the range of motion where there is tension on your muscles. When you use dumbbells, you're only having tension on your shoulders for the top half of the movement. Once you get to the bottom half, your shoulders aren't really working to hold the weight anymore. It's just gravity doing the work for you, and you're kind of just hanging onto it with your forearms and your traps. So to create more tension through a greater range of motion, opting to go to a cable setup is going to be more effective. So as you can see in this cable setup that I have, I am leaning to the side, grabbing onto something to keep balance, and I have the cable between my legs. It's really important that you have the cable either between your legs or behind you and not in front of you. When it's in front of you, that's going to create some rotation in your shoulder and again cause stress at the joint. So make sure that it's either behind you or between your legs, and you raise it up and outward the same exact way that we just talked about with the dumbbell lateral raise, but you're stopping at shoulder level. And now, because you're using the cable attachment, you're going to be holding on with your deltoid the entire way down until you get down to your side. This creates a greater range of motion where the deltoid is working and helps you get more tension in that muscle so that you get the most out of that exercise. You're always going to get a little bit more out of the cable lateral raise than the dumbbell lateral raise, but it doesn't mean that you should never do the dumbbell lateral raise again. Just make sure to pick and choose your movements to what feel most comfortable for you and what challenges you appropriately. So, stupid simple summary to close things off. When you are doing the dumbbell lateral raise, you always want to have a small forward lean, and you want to have a bend in your elbow and focus on raising outward, not so much upward, to create and maintain tension in the deltoid muscle the way you intend to. And if you want to challenge yourself further and maximize the tension that you're getting in your deltoid, opting for a low cable lateral raise is going to be a little more effective for you to get more out of it. So I hope this is helpful for you. I hope you learned a lot and can now better perform the lateral raise. If you know a friend that struggles with lateral raises, make sure to share this with them, and make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you're always tuned into the newest videos when we have them. And as always, stay stupid.